And the only feasible thing that one we want to see done, at least to keep Lagos clean for our visitors, one, we need to put in place as many bins as possible. If, say for instance, I'm in position to get about 5,000 to 6,000 bins, that will adequately cater for the refuse, there won't be any. There won't be need for low loader to scrape, because it is when there's an inadequate number of bins, you find that people dump refuse, it overflows on the ground, and they continue to dump on the ground. That is one aspect. The second issue is, and very sad too, is the aspect of indiscipline on the part of the citizens. Even in some places where the bins were provided, people even just dump on the ground. The bin is empty and they just dump on the ground. One wouldn't understand why we want to live like animals. It's only when the citizens are ready to help that we should be able to, that the government will be in position to combat the refuse issue seriously. It's sad that everybody wants the government to do everything. And while the government's efforts are in place, the citizens should complement the effort too.
It was as Colonel Oyinlola was settling down to treat the pressing issues facing Lagos State that the syndrome of area boys reached its peak, practically making life unbearable for residents of Lagos, especially the Igbo traders at Idumota. There was always a clash every month.
Because some of them are homeless, some of them have not tasted the good side of life, some of them are hooligans, some of them are robbers. So it is a problem associated with big cities like Lagos. For every downtown all over the world, they have a similar problems. So if the government will come in, get the report we are preparing, and I believe the administrator will give it all attention it requires, we shall reduce them to the barest minimum, try to reorientate the culture, and some of them think they are doing the best. They need to be talked to, you know, and the enlightenment campaign is going on gradually, and I think it's on the decrease.
We are making effort to see how much of the willing minds among the area boys are prepared to take to normal life and living. And the idea is to get them through a process of learning a trade, and after the completion of their training, the government looking into areas to fix them up, because there's no point going through a trade, getting its implements. If there's no ready employment, then the whole effort will have been wasted. There's that tendency to fall back to their whole past and continue in the way which we find that it's not normal, it's not conducive for the citizen of the state.
If the area boys disrupted peace in Lagos, then the political crisis was a national problem which compounded our economic problems and brought untold hardship to non-indigents living in Lagos. The turmoil made business come to a halt for 8 weeks. Nigerians were moving their property, and it looked as if by June, war was inevitable.
Wannan lokaci ne wanda ya ba ma bacci ba kuma bacci. Amma
that time was a time we never slept. We could not sleep. But Allah, in His infinite mercy, protected us. People were really scared. There was also a time handbills and pamphlets were distributed saying all Hausa Fulani should leave Lagos. They should go back home. That they had 7 days to leave Lagos. All people around me and all my townspeople all came to my house. It was always full. It was always full with people who were scared, women and children and men. The area's houses occupy are very plenty in Lagos. I was lucky. I normally go out in the night. This night I met two boys who were among the arsonists and the troubleshooters. I gave the 500 naira I had on me and asked them to bring their friends to a meeting in my house. I got the police, the Yoruba chief and the Igbo chief in the area to be present and talked with them. I tried and tried to talk to them and they listened. Finally, I played them back a tape of Nigerian nationalists of Herbert Macaulay and Sir Ahmadu Bello and told them nationalists fought for our independence, not for us to come and destroy ourselves. I gave them 5,000 naira that night. And thereafter, I asked them to continue to see me as often as they could. And gradually, they believed me. They believed why violence is not the answer to the crisis. That was how we survived.
I called all the leaders of thoughts in my area, the Seriki of the Hausas, the leader of the Igbos, and the three traditional rulers which I have in the area, the Ojora of Lagos, the Oloto of Oto, and the Opelua. So I used these traditional rulers to really talk to the people. And we sat down together and we discussed, and I told them that we are all the same in Nigeria. We are all mixed. Intermarriages. A lot of us, the Igbos were born in the area, the Yorubas were born in the area, their parents were born in the area. So I told them we are only one Nigeria and we must work together. So it's dialogue. We held about 2 or 3 meetings, and that's why we did not have any problem in the area. It was only a split over from Lagos Island that got to parts of Ido and Oyingbo, and it ended there. So we did not really have any big problem because of the meetings we held then, and that really helped us. And when the Military Administrator Ool Olagunsoye Oyinlola called us to Alausa, I invited all my leaders of thoughts, the market leaders, the community development associations, and we all came to Alausa and we discussed, and we all agreed that there should be one Nigeria, and that's why we never had problem in my area.
Lagos suffered not just a lot, Lagos suffered considerably because it was in Lagos and some of the other southern states that the people boycotted work. And for about 6-7 weeks, we were not able to collect a single kobo. And you can imagine, if you take 6 out of 52, that's at least about 1/8, about 12% of the revenue lost uncollected. And again, because some of the big organizations that are supposed to give us this money were also affected by the strikes, well, they also could not perform their duties effectively.
I was able to douse the tension in Lagos through dialogue. Dialogue in the sense that those who seem not to understand the issues involved, I got close to them to let them know that the situation may not be what you think it has been. And from dialogue, some got to know the true situation. Some still feel adamant and still stuck to their thinking. But by and large, a good number of the people were able to reason with us. Because when you look at the problem, there are so many questions that could be answered. I mean, given to people to answer. Because an election was annulled. Annulled by whom? There was a passage of power to an interim government before the inception of an administration. So, if you look at the intricacies of this development, what we and a thorough appreciation of the situation has left us with two options: to dialogue or break. And like you've heard from the confab, every Nigerian subscribes to the continued existence, continued oneness of this nation. If that is the case, then the only available option is dialogue. I had that with our traditional rulers, with our leaders, community leaders, market men and women. I talk to every segment of people within the state. I made myself available for them to question me, and I answered them appropriately without telling them any lie.
One consistent problem in Lagos is the cost of traffic holdup due to street trading as well as tax evasion.
All areas of Lagos have been taken over by these traders. I went to Gaba Square the other day, and you could not almost walk. This is a place that is so dear to all of us in Lagos. You know, every open space is taken over by these traders.
It's put up a good fight, but I also think that a lot will be achieved if an area is given for expansion, because some of the street traders they are doing so because they don't have an alternative. So if a site is provided, I think he will be winning the war easily, because some of them are frustrated. Some of them are doing so just to keep body and soul together. If he goes further to resettle these street traders, and we go on to tell them the need to desist from street trading, I think it will be the aims and objective will be achieved within the shortest possible time.
Street trading has been a menace within the metropolis. And there are so many factors responsible. One, there are those who, not for the lack of where to sell their wares, but because of the fact that they want to take a short measure at getting to customers. For instance, in some markets you discover that the stores are left empty, and they sell their wares, because those who hadn't the opportunity of owning a shop started by selling at the market entrance. And invariably, those in the market discover that more often than not, customers are hijacked at the entrance. And that is why you find some of them deciding to leave some in the shop, but send their little ones to go and sell along the street. To combat this situation, I think I have two things in mind. One, to solicit for the cooperation of the market men and women, so that they within themselves can, through their union, legislate against it, so that task force does not need to pursue them as if they are goods. On the part of the government, we are making efforts, and I think I have given directive that each local government should be able to look for new grants to be established as markets. By the time we achieve that, I think we can have a place to tell them that this is where you should go to. And if anybody is found then, after the pleading from their own union too, then whatever step we deem necessary, again, stiffer penalty will be imposed on those who refuse to abide by the edicts of the state.
Ẹ jáde wá o, kẹ́ wá gbọ́nà sí àwa o. Tẹ́ bá jí lówùúrọ̀. bá ń tọrọ ọmọ lọ́wọ́ Elédùmarè. Tẹ́ bá jí lówùúrọ̀, tẹ́ bá ń tọrọ ọmọ sẹ́. Tẹ́ bá ń tọrọ ọmọ lọ́wọ́ Elédùmarè. Elédùmarè kó fún wa lọ́mọ. Kó fún wa lọ́mọ tómi àgbọ̀tà wa o. Elédùmarè kó fún wa lọ́mọ yé. Kó fún wa lọ́mọ tómi àgbọ̀tà wa o. Tómi àgbọ̀tà wa o títí dọjọ́ alẹ́ o. Tómi àgbọ̀tà wa o títí dọjọ́ alẹ́ o. Tómi àgbọ̀tà wa o tí yóò wọlé dé wa o. Tómi àgbọ̀tà wa o tí yóò wọlé dé wa o.
The mandate the head of state gave to the military administrators was to go and complete projects started, as well as discourage the idea of new projects. Colonel Oyinlola took the cue, and so the Jubilee housing scheme and the Jubilee buses started by Sir Michael Otedola became the focus of the colonel.
The situation with LSTC as well as Jubilee line, I think I will consider the situation to be a pathetic one. As for LSTC, I will raise that one on mismanagement, totally. And the non-display of commitment on the part of the staff. LSTC took up with a fleet of about 500, and they had addition of 286 in 1988. But by the time, at the inception of this administration, they had barely 13 buses on road. And it's amazing that for that 13 buses, there are 213 drivers. Invariably, as of now, if they have up to 2 or 3, then it's just because somebody has decided to keep those one on road. And I can tell you that it is those one that are still with the environmental task force that is still moving, that you can see LSTC on their body. So that is the problem with LSTC, and it's sad that every government venture in terms of transportation or otherwise has not been successful. The idea behind the Jubilee line is good. The intention, well, they were good intentions, but the operation has been very, very faulty. Faulty to the extent that in some cases we don't even have the details of those who have collected the buses, and some people are not making the funds as scheduled. What we have decided is that if you cannot meet up the payment schedule, we take the buses. And if government cannot run it profitably, then either we lease it out to those who we, one way or the other, get us some, go into agreement and pay back as maybe agreed upon. But we will consider those who are really transporters, the transporters who have really achieved much. Because when you see one vehicle transporter, the moment that one vehicle is down, then he will not be in position to meet up his obligations. But those who are the tested transporters, we may have to patronize those ones, so that all we want is to have buses on road to for the benefit of commuters, whether it belongs to government or anybody. All we want, there should be enough buses on road. And if the government cannot maintain its own fleet through mismanagement, through the insincerity, not being committed by the staff, then we have to look into that direction and see. At the end of the day, the federal assisted transportation system is working fine. At least they pay regularly. But in the issue, in the case of Jubilee, I think the experience has not been good enough. And that's why we had cause to see some buses, and we scout for those who are interested. And if you don't get them, we may have to dispose of them and know that it's not a worthwhile venture. Well, I took a close look and a very constant study of the scheme, and it became obvious that there was no how the government could meet that obligation with what the market prices were saying in terms of building materials. And that's why I drew attention of the citizen to that scheme in my last budget speech. We revived the scheme, but not at the rate at which it was started, because there was no how the government can complete the scheme on that basis. Many have indicated their willingness to go with whatever new arrangement the government is making, and that is why we have been able to call back the contractors, paid some to go back to site, and I think we are in the process of making some allocations by now for those that are ready.
Facilitation of movement via transportation has been a problem for the 5 million residents of Lagos. On the issue of roads, how has Oyinlola performed?
We've achieved quite a lot, because in as far as the state roads are concerned, we try to maintain them. May not be as adequate as would be expected, but if you take a look back at the time we came in, one hadn't the opportunity of really seeing the state and knowing exactly where to place the priority. This is the underlying factor that has informed my decision to take it off the local government before I finally put my priorities down for the next year budget. And I want to say that the aspect of roads is one area that we are going to take first from now on, because we do understand that they are really bad. We will have commenced repairs and the surfacing of some, but the weather, which has not been the change in weather, that is, we still experience rainfall up to this time. That's what has been keeping us back. But the moment the downpour subsides, the state has decided that from now on till the end of the first quarter of next year, the roads will be taken.
Still on transportation, the military administration completed the Fested Bridge, and the Federal Minister of Works and Housing was at hand to commission this Amuwo-Odofin Bridge, which is extremely vital to Lagos residents living after Mile 2. The Alagbere Bridge 2, initiated by the Ageneral administration, was completed and has really smoothened traffic around Ketu area, thanks to the canal. The Ogba Road at Isolo was the hallmark of potholes when Colonel Oyinlola came. He addressed the road squarely, and the story today is that of a smooth, well-maintained road. Work is progressing fast on Ikorodu dual carriageway, Igbore Road and Okwebi Link Road. Work is also progressing on 4 new general hospitals located at Mushin, Alimosho, Ibejuleki and Ojo. A drug manufacturing unit at Ikeja General Hospital is to be commissioned soon. Education still remains a problem in Lagos.
Well, that is one area that I think he can improve upon. I think that I would like to suggest to him that he should widen the scope of his advisors. If you limit it mostly to civil servants, of course, by training, they want to tell their boss what he wants to hear. Otherwise, some of the problems, some people who are a little bit independent will have given them concrete ideas on how to face some of these problems. There is no reason in the world why Lagos State the richest state in this country, and people who say that there is no money in this country are deceiving themselves. They really just don't know how either to generate funds or how to make proper management of funds. There is no reason why Lagos State will not be able to pay her teachers.
Big note here, your customer must have 30 naira. And you said the be married in school.
It has been crisis-free anyway. He has inaugurated different councils, and in education, again, you find that the Lagos State College of Primary Education has been established, you know, and is taking off in its time. He ensures that even though it has been planned prior, but he ensures that it is established because he believes in it, and he gives credence to continuity in government. To that extent, I think I appreciate his kind of leadership.
I subscribe to anything that will give meaningful education to our children, whether it is with the government or it is with the private people. The main concern is that what are we going to give to our children, our future leaders? That is what should be the concern of every Nigerian. The government, we know, cannot cater for all the requirements in our schools today. It is obvious. And we on our own as parents should be forthcoming to assist the government. For example, though we've never mooted the idea in Lagos State, there are some states who have come to the reality, and the reality is with every state of Nigeria, that the money being paid to run our schools is just a drop in the ocean compared with the enormity of the requirements and the problems associated with schools. Now, if you tell parents that for a meaningful education, qualitative education, as is always talked about, there's need to increase this payment to this, the next thing is an opera. But I know too well, because I have children in school, what I gain in terms of free education, I lose in respect of payment to teachers to take extra lessons. There's hardly any parent, as far as who wants a better future for his children or what, that has not taken the pain to get extra teacher. And you find that what you pay to the extra teacher that comes to home is even more than what you are paying to the school. And if you tell them that, okay, let's pay this into the school so that I will get the proper education, then we find it difficult to understand, to comprehend. The next thing this government is bad, it has increased school fees, and that's what they say. What are the needs of the children in school? What are the proper steps that must be taken to ensure good education for our children? The only thing people will shout is that they have increased school fees. Oh, it's bringing hardship and not the rest of it. But we all know that at the end of the day, we engage 1 or 2 teachers to come and take our work at home. And we pay 3-4 times the thing that would have been required to pay centrally and get a qualitative education. That is the psychology with our people. That is the problem.
Ẹ jáde gbọ́nà sí àwa o. Tẹ bá jí lówùrọ̀, tẹ bá ń tọrọ ọmọ, tẹ bá ń tọrọ ọmọ lọ́wọ́ Elédùmarè.
Well, I must confess that it has not been that easy. But all the same, I want to give thanks to the Almighty God for having helped us this far. I know my people, and I know everything about our past. On many occasions, there's been absence of truth. And where there's no truth, you can never find a solution to problem. And that's why when I came in the heat of things, I went round. Went round to let to each of the local government areas to talk to them and allow them the opportunity to ask me questions. And I told them, and sincerely too, that I can never deceive anybody. The essence of living is to be of positive views, influence in somebody's life. And that is what I think I want to stand for. And I must say that has a lot to do with my family background. And so, I cannot see any reason why I should deceive anybody. Well, it may sound strange, or I think it did sound strange in the ears of some people that I can. Somebody in government to want to be sincere. And I think I've never wavered. And I think the people are convinced that whatever I say I'm going to do, that I will do. Which I am not going to do, I say it, is beyond me, and that's it. So that there's no false hope about something coming tomorrow. If it's within my reach and my powers, I say, look, you are having this thing. We are going to look at it in this manner. This is the way we are going to approach it. So I have to say, if there's any success so far, it has been based on the understanding of the people. Getting to know that when I tell them, I'm saying the truth.
Assistant le benedise, ọba ìpele jìláàfin, ìjòyè lè gbé mẹ́fà láàfin. Wúrà padà kàdé o, ẹ̀sìn ní àgbàjá. Wúrà padà kàdé o, ẹ̀sìn ní àgbàjá.
In an attempt to assess the level of development of the state, as well as plan for the 1995 development program, Colonel Oyinlola has toured all 15 local government areas of the state. Surrounded by a very active cabinet, Colonel Oyinlola radiates hard work. He retained most of the Directors General he inherited and even elevated some to the status of commissioners. Prince Tajuddin Olusi is Commissioner for Commerce and Industry. Engineer D.R. Ashefa, Agriculture and Cooperatives. Mr. Abel Kofi Yusuf, Information, Culture, Youth and Sports. Professor Ikundayo Simpson, Education. Engineer Funshaw Williams, Works. Dr. Shegun Ogundimu, Public Transportation. Prince Abiodun Ogunleye, Health and Social Welfare. Engineer A. Oyekon, Environment and Physical Planning. Professor Femi Agbalajobi, Finance and Economic Development. Mrs. Toyin Akerele Ayeni, Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice. Mr. Fidelis Adeyemi is Secretary to the State Government.
As an individual and on behalf of the whole Igbo community of Ijerabade, I think it's too early for 1 year in office to assess him or to judge him whether the administration is bad or good. I think if say that he have been at least 2 or 3 years or 4 years, it's that time people will say 1 year in administration is too meager or too short to judge him on his administration to say whether it's good or bad.
As a matter of fact, there have been about 9 governors before Colonel Oyinlola. As it pleases God, during his tenure, with particular regard to us, the Hausas, and every northerner living in this area, we enjoy his administration. What impresses me most amongst his programs are many, but I shall talk about one. There are some people, destitutes, who live on a street called Kano Street in Ebutemeta. These destitutes have been living here for upwards of 50 years, come rain, come shine. But God, in His infinite mercies, when the present administrator came, it was at the same time we got a local government chairman known as Babatunde. He goes round to ward heads and community leaders to know some of the most pressing problems. Sometimes I too go out at about 1 a.m. to see for myself if members of the housing community here are suffering any hardships due to the June 12 political logjam. To my pleasure, I never saw anything to worry about. Colonel Oyinlola has been of immense relevance to houses living in Lagos. It was during his tenure that we got to achieve one of the most important things we've been yearning for over 50 years, and that is the provision of a piece of land for the resettlement of these destitutes living at Kano Road. It was simply unbelievable.
Colonel Oyinlola has by birth, in the Yoruba tradition, a prince. In upbringing, he has been trained as a soldier, and that will tell you what type of person he is. That it means that he was born well, he had a good home education and home training, and he has brought this, all of this, and his professional training as a soldier. From the analysis we have done when he was appointed, we realized that we have a man who is very courageous and has been loyal to all his superiors, and that has molded his character. So you find him that he has been turned into a good officer and a gentleman.
We have been working in close association with him, and we have found him a very kind man, very understanding, God-fearing, and he has won the title of the man of the people.
Èèyàn dáadáa ni, èèyàn tó lọ́gbọ́n tó lóye ni, èèyàn tó dẹ̀ farabalẹ̀ ni, tó dẹ̀ mọ ẹ̀tọ́, tó mọ ọwọ́ ọ̀tún yàtọ̀ sósì. ààrẹ dẹ̀ yọ̀ mọ́ọ̀yàn ààrẹ gbẹ̀gbin kò sí nǹkan kí nǹkan tẹ́ bá déwájú ẹ̀ ó máa yanjú ẹ̀ ó fi hàn pé ọmọ ilé ńlá lòun ti wá.
There's no alternative to democracy. And I want to say that democracy that has beginning with the traditional beginning of the people. If you go to America and bring their own style of democracy and put on us, it may not work. And that is why the American system is different from the French system and different from the British system and the Russian system. If it's going to be one and peculiar democracy, then the whole European countries will have been operating the same way. They fashion their own style to meet the expectation, the culture, and the aspirations of their own people. Then it is left for us to look inward and find out which kind of democracy we want to operate. And, like it is said, any policy that has no bearing with the traditional beginning of a people may never succeed. So, I subscribe to the idea of democracy, but we have to fashion that which will stand its test of time based on the socio-economic, cultural relations of the people.
BNL a été constitué en 1975 et depuis cette date...
BNL was founded in 1975 and since that time, or at least until 1986, most of the company's business was in the Lagos region.
L'activité de BNL sur Abuja a débuté au travers de...
BNL began working in Abuja through Dragage et Travaux Publics on the construction of the Hilton Hotel. Since then, many projects have been handled. Supreme Court is a large-scale project with a gross surface area of 65,000 square meters, requiring 42,000 cubic meters of concrete and 7,200 tons of steel. Another feature of the Supreme Court is the quantity of marble, granite and other rich materials used not only for the finishing works but also for the technical trades. BNL performed the Supreme Court project as general contractor. The National Print Works, printing and minting, has been under construction since the spring of 1993. The gross surface area of the printing and minting site is 35,000 square meters. It will require 25,000 cubic meters of concrete and 2,500 tons of steel. A specific aspect of the project is the optimization of the concrete and steel sections, which allowed the client to make substantial savings. The cathedral is a highly technical project, since although it's a modern structure, it has been designed in the style of a Gothic cathedral. The site covers a total surface area of 3,200 square meters. The central section, known as the main auditorium, will culminate at a height of 68 meters and require 400 tons of shoring. The belfry is already more than 100 meters high. The NNPC contract was awarded in December 1991, half to Bouygues Nigeria Limited and half to a rival contractor. The Bouygues portion amounts to 65,000 square meters of floor space, 40,000 cubic meters of concrete and approximately 4,500 tons of steel. It's another project where BNL is acting as general contractor. Bouygues Nigeria Limited is trying to develop new activities that are already well established in the Bouygues Group.